Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for a video it's international break. You guys know the drill. There's no Chelsea game, so I'm sat here in this very bed questioning my existence, questioning what I'm going to do with my life when our beloved Chelsea Football Club are not gracing our screens with delightful footballing displays as they have been for the past couple of weeks. First things first, if you're not yet subscribed to the George Benson football channel, I would like to ask you to do so. I didn't upload a video yesterday, so in today's video, I'm going to be giving away a copy of Football Manager 2021. So get commenting with your most underrated moment of this season so far. That is what today's video is about. I'm going to talk about 5 moments that have happened since the beginning of the season that I feel will shape the future of this Chelsea team, will shape the season we're about to have, and were defining in their own little ways. You know, we've had big wins against Sheffield United, we've had big wins in the Champions League. We're not going to talk about those obvious ones today. We're going to talk about 5 little moments or individual performances that I believe will be key to Chelsea moving forward and that gave us a glimpse of what we're trying to build at our football club. So, you've already subscribed, which means you probably, hopefully, already hit the like button. So without any further ado, we're going to move straight into the first one, which actually happened just before the season kicked off, which is cheating a little bit, you know, but it's international break. You got to let a man off. We want to talk, or I want to talk, because we're not really discussing anything until you get commenting down below. I want to mention the Hakim Ziyech ball within the first 10 minutes of the game against Brighton in that pre-season friendly that saw 2,000 lovely Brighton fans sitting in the stadium. I bloody miss seeing fans in the ground, don't you? That ball in from Hakim Ziyech, it came to Callum Hudson-Odoi. It was finished by none other than the German striker Timo Werner. For me, that is a moment that foreshadowed the brilliance that we have seen in the opening few games from Hakim Ziyech. He's been absolutely delightful, but what we saw immediately, as soon as he's introduced to the pitch for his Chelsea debut in that match against Brighton, we saw exactly what we've been crying out for from a left-footed player for so long at Chelsea Football Club. He plays on the right-hand side, he cuts in, he puts in a wonderful ball, and, you know, lo and behold, we've seen it in abundance ever since he's broken back into the team after he recovered from the injury that he suffered in that game. And I think for me, it was one of the most exciting moments. It was such a shame when he did get injured, but obviously now it doesn't necessarily matter so much. With 3 points off the top of the table, we played 8 games, we're in a brilliant run of form. When I really break it down, I think the influence and the quality that Hakim Ziyech brings to this side is one of those determining factors behind my reasons why Chelsea could go ahead and win the Premier League this season. So underrated moment number 1 was that pass that doesn't even get registered as an assist in the footballing world, even though it was a friendly and everyone flipping forgets about friendlies apart from us here on GBFC, where we do previews. We do 6 things we learnt after every friendly as well. But that Ziyech pass, it was a taster of what was to come. And so far, I'm delighted with how everything else is going. So point number 2, and I asked a lot of you guys on Twitter what your top moment of the season has been so far, and a lot of people agreed, but I'm going to put this in the underrated category simply because of since the moment that Edouard Mendy made that incredible flying save to deny Marcus Rashford at Old Trafford in the last seconds of the game, since that moment, Chelsea have been so good at the back. Now, that Manchester United game was the first game back in the Premier League where we actually looked solid. Before that, we've been leaking a ton of goals. We looked even worse than we actually did at times last season defensively in the Prem. And if Mendy doesn't make that save, when we look at this good run of unbeaten games, not only does the unbeaten run come to an end, which I wouldn't say is underrated, I'd say it's actually massive for Chelsea, the run that we're currently on. If that unbeaten run dies off, then all of a sudden we start from scratch and we've got to build up another unbeaten run. But the main thing from that was, after we defended so well throughout the entirety of that game, the one moment, and obviously Mendy didn't just make that one save, he made a few saves during that game, that one moment defined the run. It defined the clean sheets, and it showed us as Chelsea fans what we have got to expect from Edouard Mendy. He's a man that can win us points. Obviously we didn't score against United, so it can't necessarily win us matches with this example, but it gave us a real feeling that, you know what, we've got someone in between the sticks who can make the difference for Chelsea. And even if it's 1 point or 3, It makes such a massive difference psychologically when Chelsea walk away from Old Trafford with a point despite almost losing at the end than if we were to concede a goal from that Rashford shot and come away with absolutely nothing. And if you flip it on its head, Rashford scores that, United get a big win against Chelsea, they keep a clean sheet, and then maybe some of the faltering results they've had in between wouldn't have happened. And then if we're talking about a title race, we might have been talking about United actually being closer to the top than they currently are. So when we talk about season-defining moments, that Mendy save could be as underrated in the bigger picture of the Premier League season as anything else. So point number 3, I'm going to talk about another Premier League game, and you remember, I know it's the Champions League, but I'm going to just milk it a little bit for a second. You remember 2005? You know, some of you might not have been born. There's the majority of people on this channel are actually aged between 18 and 35, but some of you might be younger, enjoying a bit of GBFC videos, bit of yes guys every day. Liverpool came from 3-0 down against AC Milan. They went in at half-time, they were 3-0 down in a Champions League final. How do you resurrect a situation like this? You know what you do? You score 3 goals in the second half and you draw the game 3-3, you take it to penalties. Chelsea might not have done it in a Champions League final, although we did do an absolute madness in Munich, which we'll never forget the moments. But West Brom away, I just can't believe I'm comparing this to Liverpool against AC Milan, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's an international break, all right? And I'm struggling a little bit here. West Brom 3, Chelsea 3. We went 3-0 down. I remember it very well. So we conceded 3 goals to West Bromwich Albion, who, I don't know if you've seen them this season, but they still cannot buy a Premier League win for love nor money. And at one stage, I thought they were going to get that victory against Chelsea. We were absolutely abysmal. I'm thinking of other dreadful words to use, but abysmal will do just fine. We were awful defensively in that first half, but what really shows character in a team is knowing that you've had a diabolical first half. You come out and you show something different in the second half. You're willing to change the game plan. You're willing to adapt what was been clearly going wrong in the first half, and you go for it. And that is what I've always wanted to see from Chelsea teams. Sometimes we're winning 1-0 and then we'll draw the game 1-1 because we don't want to kill teams off. If you look at football as a game of 2 halves, in that second half at the Hawthorns, we were absolutely phenomenal. We scored 3 goals, we pull it back, we get ourselves a draw, and what that taught me is we saw the attacking talent that was available on the pitch. It showed me that when push comes to shove and when Chelsea have their backs against the wall with a point to prove, there is so much attacking quality within this Chelsea team that we can do what, you know, doesn't happen very often in Premier League games. To come from 3-0 down, whether it's a bottom half club against one of the top teams or not, it's a very, very good achievement to come from 3 goals down. How defensively we were solid in that second half against West Brom. We didn't concede again. We managed to go ahead and score 3 goals, albeit a very late one with the equaliser. I think it was a big moment in Chelsea's season. It was one of those moments where the attacking players in the build-up to this game maybe hadn't connected as well as they did. Within that second half, we saw Mason Mount turning up with a goal to silence his critics, which is always lovely to see because he does get a lot of stick. Tammy Abraham as well with the late equaliser. It showed the abundance of attacking quality within this Chelsea team, the grit and determination to when we really are down in the dumps, we've got the quality, we've got the ability to turn it round and take something from the game. When we look back at that at the end of the season, again, I think it could be one of those comebacks that goes under the radar just because it's West Brom, but you can't disrespect any Premier League side. On any given day, anyone can beat anyone, and that was a top-class comeback. So point number 4, I think this one has probably got quite a lot of credit, but I feel as though because it was Barnsley and it was a hat-trick for Kai Havertz in the Carabao Cup, I feel as though it's one of those, again, that can just get swept aside either by rival fans or Chelsea fans that want to be hypercritical of our players. Kai Havertz's hat-trick against Barnsley, for me, was... After all of those videos and all of those thumbnails where I was like teasing Chelsea signing Kai Havertz, you guys know I called it here on GBFC before anybody else did, but to see him actually in a blue shirt, scoring a hat-trick at Stamford Bridge, whether it's Barnsley in the Carabao Cup or not, it was one of those moments where I thought, you know what? This isn't the first time or the last time, well it is the first time, it's not the last time we're going to see Kai Havertz carrying away the match ball in a Chelsea shirt. When you spend that much money on a young player like that with so much ability, so much potential, And within the first few games of his Chelsea career, he just drops a little hat-trick in there, you know? It's like, all right, rival fans can do whatever they want about criticising the opposition or belittling the achievement because it's Barnsley, a bit like I've done really in this video by keep reiterating the point. But I think that was the arrival of Kai Havertz, you know? It was the moment where we were like, okay, this guy knows where the goal is. He knows how to score, he knows how to assist. And we saw it in the flesh at Stamford Bridge, although I wish we did because there was no fans. But Kai Havertz's arrival with a hat-trick against Barnsley, I think we could be talking about that one in the future as the first of many hat-tricks in a Chelsea shirt. And the final underrated moment, and I don't really think this one is underrated in the sense of people didn't give it the credit that he deserved, but from a Chelsea fan's perspective, when we look at these first 8 games of the season, and obviously it's my job to make these videos, so I watch Chelsea a lot more than maybe the average person does. I watch back games, I watch back highlights, I watch back interviews over and over again. Ben Chilwell's debut, for me, was such a beautiful moment. And to see him play that well, to score, to assist Kurt Zouma as well, it was the moment where we realised we finally saw. Some of us might have questioned Frank Lampard and Chelsea's decision to spend 50 plus million on Ben Chilwell in the summer when there were cheaper alternatives available in the left back position. That was the moment that silenced anyone's questions about whether Ben Chilwell was or should be the right man for the job in the Chelsea left back position. He turns up on his Premier League debut with a goal, which, by the way, isn't what you see every day from your left back, gets an assist as well, puts in a faultless display, and for me, I think Ben Chilwell, from what I've seen so far this season, he's my player of the season so far. I would love to know what you guys think about that in the comments down below, but I think Chilwell has been immense. I think he's been magnificent. And if I was to finish off this video, Ben Chilwell's debut was one of the top 5 underrated moments of the season so far. I think it probably wasn't underrated in the sense of, when you think of underrated, people don't talk about it. People did talk about Ben Chilwell's debut. But obviously, since then, Chelsea have gone on an unbeaten run. We've won matches by scoring tons of goals. We demolished Sheffield United. We've had some incredible standout displays. And just because he's a left back, I wanted to give him the credit that I think he deserves, where he's scoring goals in a Chelsea shirt, he's getting assists, putting in faultless defensive displays. Ben Chilwell is a blue, and I'm delighted. Are you? I mean, that was absolutely cringe. I might as well just end my career now. But anyway, gonna wrap up this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching today. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you haven't yet subscribed to GBFC, I'd love to ask you to do so. Even though it's the international break, I'm gonna try my best to entertain you guys. I've got some tier list videos coming out over the next few days. I know that you lot love those. Let me know your top 5 or even 1 of your most underrated moments of the season so far. I'll pick one of the comments. I'll send you Football Manager 2021, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new video here on GBFC. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.